Your empath abilities were never meant to drain you. What if everything you have ever been told about being an empath is fundamentally backward? There is a way of understanding this intense sensitivity that has been buried under decades of feel-good language and spiritual marketing, a way that does not instruct you to hold space for everyone you meet or radiate love until you collapse. This perspective is rooted in real psychological research and suggests that once you truly understand your innate abilities, your sensitivity will never feel like a burden again. If you have ever felt emotionally exhausted by others or needed days to recover from a simple conversation, this realization might change your life. The truth that is rarely spoken in wellness spaces is that most empaths suffer not because they are too sensitive, but because they were never taught what their sensitivity actually is or what it is designed to do. Clinical research into the deepest patterns of the human mind has worked with hundreds of individuals describing experiences often dismissed by mainstream medicine, sensing anger before a word is spoken, knowing instantly that something is wrong with a stranger, or feeling other people's emotions physically. These are not delusions or signs of poor boundaries. They are data. These individuals are perceiving real information through channels that most human nervous systems simply are not tuned to access. However, a vast majority are using these abilities in ways that slowly destroy them, turning a sophisticated navigation system into a chronic wound. The core difference between an empath who is hollowed out by their sensitivity and one who wields it as genuine power lies in understanding the function of these abilities. There are 6 core abilities inherent in the empathic archetype, and most empaths are currently using them backward. By shifting the practice of each ability, they can transform from a source of suffering into a source of real, lasting power. The first ability is emotional field perception. This is the act of walking into a room and instantly registering the emotional atmosphere, a heavy energy, a sudden wave of anxiety, or an inexplicable sadness. Most empaths assume these feelings are their own, thinking they are triggered or having a bad day. In reality, they are receiving these emotions, acting like a radio tower picking up signals. This ability often develops in childhood as a survival skill in unpredictable environments where reading the emotional landscape was mandatory for safety. The problem arises when empaths absorb these emotions rather than just perceiving them. They carry other people's anxiety and grief in their own bodies all day, leading to total exhaustion by evening. This is a misuse of the ability. Just as when you look at a tree, you perceive it without becoming it, emotional field perception should function the same way. You sense grief, you note it, but you do not dissolve into it. The correct practice is to consistently ask, is this mine? Does this feeling connect to your actual life right now? Or did it show up when you encountered a specific person or environment? This separation allows you to be fully present with others without losing yourself. The second ability is unconscious pattern recognition. Empaths can assess a person's psychological makeup with stunning accuracy and speed, often knowing things that seem unknowable. They sense untrustworthiness or danger long before any overt threat is made. This happens because the empathic mind unconsciously processes massive volumes of micro-information, tiny inconsistencies between speech and body language, micro-expressions, shifts in vocal tone, and telling word choices. Like emotional field perception, this trait is hardwired in children who grew up needing to assess threats rapidly. Empaths go wrong by learning to distrust this innate signal. Social conditioning often teaches that sensing danger quickly is judgmental, or that good people only see the best in others. These narratives encourage empaths to override the variability meant to protect them, leading them to stay in harmful situations that their intuition correctly identified on day one. The fix is absolute. When your pattern recognition flags someone, believe it. You do not need to create a scene. You simply act on the information by maintaining distance and honoring your calibrated perception. The third ability is shadow detection, which is the perception of what others have repressed or denied. The rage behind a smile, the manipulation behind charm, or the emptiness behind achievement. Empaths register this material automatically, sitting with someone who is performing confidence while feeling that person's underlying fear. This is a profound superpower in therapeutic or leadership contexts, but in personal relationships, empaths consistently misuse it as a rescue mandate. They see the wounded child beneath the abusive adult and decide that person is worth rescuing, excusing harmful behavior because they understand its traumatic source. This is fundamentally dangerous. Understanding why someone is harmful does not make them safe. Compassion for someone's history does not require you to subject yourself to the consequences of that history playing out in your life. The correct use of this ability is compassionate discernment. You see the full, complex picture of a person, hold it with genuine empathy, and use that complete view to decide wisely how much of yourself to invest. Sometimes the most honest and compassionate response is to see someone fully and choose not to engage. The fourth ability is trajectory perception. Empaths read the direction things are heading, sensing a deteriorating relationship or friendship long before any obvious evidence appears. This is an extraordinary gift of foresight, yet empaths almost universally respond by ignoring it. They feel where a situation is going and then override that knowing with hope, telling themselves they must be wrong or just need more patience. This is hope as self-abandonment, choosing comfortable illusions over accurate perception. When hope is used to silence clear knowing, it becomes a form of self-betrayal. The correct use of trajectory perception is decision support, not prediction. When your ability shows you where something is heading, you do not need to panic. You simply need to start making decisions based on what you perceive rather than what you wish were true. If you feel a relationship failing 6 months before it collapses, you have 6 months of lead time to prepare emotionally and practically rather than being blindsided. The fifth ability is energetic resonance, the capacity to directly feel and match the emotional state of another person. This evolutionary trait allows caregivers to attune to infants, but empaths carry this deep attunement into every encounter, synchronizing their nervous system with everyone they meet. This resonance without boundaries is the fastest path to physical and emotional breakdown. The nervous system is not designed to run multiple emotional programs simultaneously. It needs to maintain its own baseline. The correction is not to shut this ability down, but to make it conscious. You choose when to activate this ability, with whom, and for how long, and critically, you develop a consistent practice of returning to your own baseline immediately afterward. This practice of conscious return can be as simple as taking slow breaths and visualizing the emotional energy separating. Done consistently, this small act is the difference between being a genuinely effective source of support and being so depleted that you have nothing left to give anyone. Turning resonance on and off deliberately makes your caring sustainable. The sixth ability is dimensional perception, perceiving multiple layers of reality simultaneously. The spoken words versus the unspoken truth, the presented self versus the actual person, and stated intentions versus unconscious drives. This extraordinary awareness creates a specific problem for empaths. They often respond by trying to close the gap they perceive. They point out inconsistencies or press people toward an honesty they are not ready for. This makes empaths exhausting to be around, as very few people actually want their defenses dismantled. Dimensional perception is not permission to manage other people's consciousness. Seeing clearly does not create an obligation to speak. Pushing truth on people who are not ready for it does not accelerate their growth, it just creates friction. The correct use of this ability is silent wisdom. You see everything, hold the complete picture, and use that knowledge to inform your own choices about the relationship without needing to announce what you perceive. This requires sight without commentary. The framework that ties all six abilities together reveals a single root cause of empathic suffering. Empaths have been taught a fundamentally incorrect story that their sensitivity is a gift they are supposed to share with the world, that their purpose is to hold space, offer healing, and be available to anyone in need. This belief that these abilities exist for others is the foundational error. These abilities exist for you first. They are navigation tools, an internal guidance system for moving through a complex world with accuracy and self-protection. When empaths internalize this, everything changes. They stop staying in harmful situations and burning themselves out, trying to fix people who never asked to be fixed. They start showing up in a completely different way, present but boundaried, warm but discerning. This transformation can look like coldness to those who benefited from the empath's self-sacrifice, but it is actually the path to becoming a conscious empath.